وجنود الولايات المتحدة والمدنيين فإننا نقترب كثيرا من هذه النهاية.
شكرا جزيلا.
Now that was in Iraq in 2008, right? 5 to 6 years after the invasion of Iraq. And by the time you get done with this video, you'll understand why people started investing in the Iraqi dinar. And it's not what most people think. George Bush was not liked by the people of Iraq because they knew the truth, just like we all know the truth now. Welcome to the Wealth Transfer with TC. Today I want to talk about the beginning of the Iraqi dinar and how things kind of got going with people speculating that the value of the currency is going to rise, right? And I'm going to share with you its beginnings doesn't have anything to do with the prophetic. Now, first, before I get into this, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just sharing information, giving you my thoughts and my opinions on that information. If you guys like these videos that I make, the support links are down below in the description and also the about section. Now, we know that there are a lot of people that think the dinar whole thing is a scam, and then you got the people, and then you also have more people that think that prophets are using this, that it's a scam and so on. And when I came across the Iraqi dinar, I didn't know anything about the prophetic relating to the Iraqi dinar. Kim Clement had not prophesied about the dinar, but I knew who Kim Clement was from his Katrina hurricane prophecy that actually gained him notoriety all across the world during that time period. Now, the Iraqi dinar, you guys know that Iraq was invaded by the United States. They changed out their currency. Today's rate is 1310 dinars per dollar, and we know that it's actually, from the original starting point, we know that they devalued the dinar several times, where it got actually pretty cheap to invest. Officially on October the 15th, 2003, is when they began to issue new notes, and they were replacing the old Saddam Hussein notes. There was an exchange, and eventually the Saddam notes were no longer, you could no longer exchange them. All right, so I didn't know anything about the dinar around that time. And so there's this article that came out back on September 15th of 2006 when I did a specific time search for the Iraqi dinar and this whole thing with the speculation. And I'm just going to read some of this article so you guys understand that it's, especially for those who do think it's a scam, and you got to remember, it's just like any other investment. And I do believe that, yes, people spend too much time thinking about the dinar, when it's going to revalue, how it's going to revalue, and keeping up with every single piece of news that people think that's going to lead to the revaluation. This has been going on since I got involved with the Iraqi dinar in 2009. Right? And I had to break myself after a couple years of experiencing all these dinar gurus lying, saying about their inside intel. I've been involved in this community for a very long time. Now, this is from ABC News, September 15, 2006. The odds are debatable, but many people around the world have wagered that the new Iraq will flourish and democracy and free market capitalism will thrive there. Some have even put money on that bet. Phil Lloyd of England said typing error led him to, that gave him an idea to bet on Iraq and become a millionaire overnight. He was searching for a dinner set on eBay one evening, and Lloyd misspelled the first word and found himself looking at a page of dinar auctions. Wads of new Iraqi dinar introduced that year. Some of the listings claim that this was potentially a dynamite investment. Buying into the Iraqi dinar at its historically low exchange rate would hold potential for enormous profit in the future. So back in 2003, they were talking about if you invest in the Iraqi dinar, there's a possibility that it was going to change in value. So when you look at their denominations, it seemed like, yes, okay, they're putting themselves in the middle. And like they released 6 denominations, the 50, the 250, the 1,000, and the 5,000, and the 10,000, and the 25,000. They also released a bunch of coins too as well. I actually got my hands on some of those. So, which were even lower denominations. So they were preparing, they kind of put themselves in the middle and say, okay, eventually we're going to revalue and make it easier if we have some of these lower denominations. And they could do it slowly or they could do it all at once. And a lot of people are speculating that it's going to happen all at once, but a lot of things have to happen in order for that to take place. But will the Iraqi economy improve enough that Phil Lloyd's millions of dinars will eventually equal millions of dollars? Lloyd is far from being the only investor to gamble on an improved economic situation in Iraq. And this is the key, what I'm getting ready to share with you. This is the biggest reason why people were investing in the Iraqi dinar. In 2003, the Bush administration argued that the military operation in Iraq would largely self-financing because of Iraq's enormous untapped oil reserves. After the fall of Saddam and the introduction of the new Iraqi currency, the former dinar rate of 3-to-1 was altered roughly to 1,400 to 1. And I remember when I first got into the dinar, people were telling me what Bush said, and how Iraq war was going to pay for itself, and it was going to be through the revaluation of currency. Right? And maybe that was the plan, but it seemed like, when you look at all the delays because of the government of Iraq and all the corruption that was taking place, at least during that time period, it would seem like it would have never happened anyway. So other people, they stumbled on sites like betoniraq.com. There's Lloyd and several thousand others discuss their investments on investoriraq.com, a message board in which members use shorthand form names to chat, gossip, exchange information, and offer encouragement. So you remember, folks, this is back in 2006 when this article came out. So this forum, right, which is now shut down, it was actually just shut down this month. Now, when it comes to prophecy, unfortunately, I wish I would have looked at this sooner, then maybe I could have found some dreams that people had that maybe around that time period. But I know that there was because I was part of some of these forums back in 2009. One of them today won't even allow me to get back into my account. And we're talking about the Adam Montana and the Dinar Vet. Okay, this website has been around for many years, and it won't let me sign up. It won't let me log in from my old account for whatever reason. It's still active, but it's not nearly as active, so I don't know what's going on with it. But there were dreams posted in this forum too as well. So I'm bringing this up because this is important, because I see people who actually hate on what's going on with the prophetic and the dinar, and I completely understand, but you guys need to know where everything started from. Now, the speculation of the Iraqi dinar fueled in 2013. I had already bought some. It is when Jim Cramer started talking about the dinar. Okay, he brought it up. And we're just going to hear a little bit of it.
Jim, I'm looking for my dinars. I have some. That's why I'm making all kinds of scurrying noise. Here's my dinars. I got them.
Well, look,
I'm from the Trade Bank of Iraq, the only ATM in the country.
Look, this is a country that's resource-based, which is a little bit like...
So she's showing off her dinar. This is Jim Cramer and Aaron Burnett. She's a host of her show on CNN. It's confirmed to what Kim Clement was saying, that there's a possibility that this could go up in value. So even the world was talking about it in a positive light, even though there's a lot of negative articles. This was a confirmation for many people, right? This was back in 2013, and that's why the quality is so distorted. But she had bought dinars, okay? So don't you think that anybody who saw this didn't know anything about prophecy invested in the dinar? They sure did. People who got into the dinar because of Kim Clement's prophecy in 2011. When they heard this, don't you think that this encouraged them? Don't they think that this was a confirmation to them? So people need to understand some of the background. Now, during this time period, when I got into it in 2009, I remember eventually hearing people having dreams. I had a dream that I went to the bank to exchange, right? But I didn't get into it for that reason, right? Initially, okay? I was part of a group. I was listening to phone calls. I was listening to any videos that were maybe possibly out at that time. I was on all the dinar news sites and all that stuff, and I was following it almost every 5 days a week. I was told that the dinar was imminent to revalue, and I began to realize that everybody was lying to me when it comes to as far as like the dinar gurus and saying it's going to revalue, and their inside intel people say it's going to revalue this day and that day. That was really, really bad from 2009 Actually, probably even up to this day, because there's a few more people that still do that stuff, like Nader from the Middle East, right? And I do want to point out, when you go back and type in Iraqi dinar revaluation, you go to the Wayback Machine, and you can see some of the sites that were set up. New IraqiDinar.net, 2006, 2010, 2013, 2011, IraqiDinarRevaluation.net. Right, so a lot of some of these websites also had forums that you could go and talk to. I was part of those forums and watching those forums. Right, now here's one, IraqiDinar.net, right, 2004. Okay, so people were already in 2004 setting themselves up to be brokers of the Iraqi dinar. A lot of brokers back then are definitely not around today. Another one, buynewdinar.com, 2004 to 2016. So that went defunct, right? We know that the government went after a lot of these dinar sellers, right? So you have some sites that were created in 2004. So what does that tell you? Here's another one, dinartrade.com, 2004. So that should tell you that this stuff has been going on for a long time. And if you guys have been watching the previous videos, or any of the videos relating to prophecy, Kim Kmet lays out the entire timeline for the Iraqi dinar revaluation, right? And we haven't seen those things be fulfilled yet. I even had my own personal dreams, and they were pretty crazy, but I'm not going to get into those right now. But you could just, you could do the research on in my video section. But I didn't have those dreams until 2013. Other people I knew had dreams, but that's what we call the prophetic, and we're just taking a chance. And I think, and I understand the argument, if people did not focus on the dinar every single day, like with the dinar gurus, and they're posting these Iraqi dinar videos and they're saying it's going to happen, all these things are signed, it's ready to go. And do you remember Obama needed to sign off on the dinar, and then it was Trump needed to sign off on the dinar, and then it was Biden needed to sign off on the dinar, and none of those things happened, right? And when you look at even just from predictions, it doesn't even line up with Kim Kmet's prophecies. There's one last thing that I want to emphasize that's important, and this was from an Iraqi news site. It says, and this was October 29th in 2014. Remember, ISIS took over a third of Iraq. And so when this article came out, this kind of fueled the fire, and we thought that this was part of when things seemed at their worst for the Iraqi people. It was legitimate to think that ISIS and what they were doing was when things seemed at their worst, right? So we thought that it was leading into the Iraqi dinar revaluation at some point. But it says here that this article says Iraqi dinar revaluation postponed by central bank for 5 years, says MP Bajara. Everybody knows that this article was famous when it came out. So when the war was over in Iraq and they had defeated ISIS and the rebuilding process was starting, everybody thought that they were going to revalue the dinar, right? A recovery. There was a lot of speculation with that. And I just wanted to bring that point up because that was pretty important in this timeline of how things kind of transpired with the Iraqi dinar. But I think when we put this in perspective, we should invest and then move on. We'll know when it does change in value, right? But 99.9% of all dinar information that has ever been put out there is absolutely useless. The only thing you need to worry about, according to what the prophecy says, is it's going to change in value and you're going to go and exchange it and it's going to be provision for the world. So hopefully you guys understand on both sides of the aisle where this came from and how it started. The prophetic on this really didn't pick up until when Kim Kmet first mentioned it. He said, it hasn't been time, it hasn't been time, it hasn't been time, and then sudden change. That's what he first said. So that kind of took off. Other people started having dreams and visions. And then now you see where we are now. Then you have a lot of people pretending as if God is talking to them about the Iraqi dinar. And when it comes to the world, folks, we have discussed many articles about revaluations and gold back and all that stuff. We've discussed so many articles, in the past. It's just like, it's pointless to even talk about it anymore because we already know. Those of us who've been in it the longest, I don't need to see articles about how we're going to a gold-backed system. That's something that we've known for a very long time. We see it happening, play out right now as we speak. They're preparing. That's why banks are buying gold. That's why you already have currencies like the Zimbabwe going to a gold-backed currency. And we have other nations that are in the process of doing that. And we're going to a whole new financial system, but most of the world just doesn't see it. They're not looking at all those different articles and putting it together. That's one thing that dinar gurus do. They put these articles together. Most of them are useless, but there are important articles. The thing is that they keep lying to people about having inside information. So my whole thing is just, you don't need to listen to all the dinar stuff every single day. You're not going to miss anything. And it's not going to make the dinar revalue any faster. You need to move on and start focusing on other investments, especially investments that could change your life right now. The dinar, for many of us, has not affected our life positively. We buy, we wait, we hold. The problem is that people, especially last year, a lot of people were buying the dinar, and even this year, thinking that it's going to revalue because of what some of these prophets said. That's the huge issue. Dr. Brett Watson had everybody buying dinar, and yet that prophecy failed. So anyways, folks, that is all that I have for this today. I thank you guys for listening. God bless. TC out.